Prabhupadam Atra Surupam Rupam Tasya Gajamuri Purim Maturim Gostuvatim Radha Kundam Agrivaram Oh Radhika Manavasam Prakto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Guru Tam Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarare Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Yam Praprajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virakataya Johava Putra iti tanmayataya taravo bineru tansavabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi Anandalīlamaya vigrahaya Hemapatibhyaschavi sundaraya Tasmai mahaprema rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vina Aparaya Lakshay Chitasta Karmaya Gavati Kripa Mahitvam Sharanam Prabhada Vinde Namaste Charanaravinda Vinde Namaste Charanaravinda Govinda Namo Naramadaveti Govinda Namo Naramadaveti Govinda Namo Naramadaveti Govinda Namo Naramadaveti Hey Krishna Hey Yadava Hey Saketi Govinda Namo Naramadaveti Sham Sundar Shikanda Shikar Smaha Sumurli Manora Radhikaraska Mama Kripanidhe Swapirchana Kinkurim Kuru Tavaivasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Bina Jivikyaya Devitam Namaham Sharantikam First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual guru, Asmadeva Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtotara Satasishimad, Rupanugacharya Varya Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev and to Srila Prabhupada and all of our Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Kripa Sindhu Devancha Puritanam Parami Hari Today we will discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 81, Text 36. So we can sing together. Tasyaiva meso vidasakya maitri dasyam punajanmani janmani shat bhanuvarena gunalayena visajatasat purusha prasanga. Tumi mori dilibahu amularatam. When Maharaj Prataparudra sang the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, "Oh, you have given me Amulya Ratana, priceless jewels, and I have nothing to give you in return. So I'll just give you my embrace." So this is one of the priceless jewels of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one of the priceless jewels of Srimad Bhagavatam. Perhaps you know that there was a very poor Brahmin named Sudama. His mind was controlled, his senses were controlled, he was completely detached from all sense gratification. He was satisfied with whatever came in his life by its own accord. And he was very poor. Often he did not even have enough to eat. And when some food would come, then his wife would offer it and then give to him, and she would take what was left. So his wife was actually more tolerant even than him, because she would feed him first. She was very qualified. But both of them were very skinny. Their eyes were sunk into their heads. All their veins were sticking out. Seeing the suffering condition of her husband, the wife of Sudama, she said, "I know that you have a friend who is the husband of the goddess of fortune. And he can very easily give prosperity to his devotees." Then she anticipated that perhaps Sudama would say, "But I am not a devotee," because he was very humble. So she said that Krishna is Brahmanya Dev, Go Brahmanya Devaya, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahman Hitaya Cha, Jagaditaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Krishna is very favorably disposed towards the Brahmanas. So you are a Brahmana. If you go and visit him, he'll give you something. So then she knew that her husband was afraid of these words. Why? Because it's the nature of bhakti that you cannot think of asking for anything from Krishna for yourself. His wife speaking was also felt some fear, because she knew that he wouldn't respond well to them. Because his bhav is anya bilashta shunyam jnanakana adhanabritam anukuyena krishnanushyam bhakti uttama. Uttam bhakti never asks for anything from Shri Krishna. So then she said to him, "You don't have to ask for anything. Just go. Just go and see him." Why? Smarataha padakamalam atmanam api yatschati. It is said about the Lord, Smarataha padakamalam atmanam api yatschati, that the Supreme Lord, what to speak of giving some maintenance, what to speak of giving some material wealth of this world or heaven. No. The Supreme Lord gives himself to that person who just remembers him. This is Krishna's nature. He is very, very kind, very grateful for even the slightest service. So she said, don't ask for it, just go. Because she knew that if he will go, Krishna will see his condition. He'll alleviate that without any asking. So then he refused, but she pushed him again and again. So then he thought, all right, this is my good fortune, this opportunity has come. On the pretext of going there at the suggestion of my wife, I will see my old friend Krishna. They're old friends because they used to go to Gurukul together. You remember in Shwaibanal we discussed Krishna's brahmachari life in Gurukul. So, Sudama, he didn't want to go empty-handed. In Vedic culture he said, never go to see a sadhu with empty hands. Always take something, some gift, some pranam. So Sudama immediately said, I should take something. Do we have anything in the house? His wife said, no. But I'll beg from a neighbor. So she went to the neighbor and she begged 4 palmfuls of flat rice. So tandul, flat rice, is very, very inexpensive and dry, and this is the kind of thing that a very poor person may eat. But that's all they had. She wrapped it in a cloth and he tucked it in his belt, and then he set off to Dwarka. So he was going gradually, arrived in Dwarka, and there were sentries, soldiers, an outpost protecting the city. But he was with other brahmanas, and because Krishna respects the brahmanas, the soldiers let them pass. They went further and came through another military check. They went through another one, and then they came to the gates of the city. They went through 1 gate, 2 gates, 3 gates, and then he came into the astonishing Aishwarya of Dwarka. There he was, standing in his old torn, tattered cloth, and completely looked like a starving person. And he was amidst the vast opulence of Dwarka, with all beautiful parks and skyscrapers made of jewels and coral and ivory. So Sudama, he was looking, how can I find Krishna? He went into the first palace he could find. It just so happened that it was Rukmini's palace. As he entered the palace, he was just washed over by waves of ecstasy. He felt as if he were just going beyond Vaikuntha. And as he came into the royal courtyard, see, Krishna was sitting on a bed of Rukmini and Rukmini was fanning him. And Krishna saw Sudama and immediately got up and he ran there to him. And Krishna embraced him. And when Krishna felt the touch of his devotee, his heart melted and he could not restrain himself. Tears were flowing from his eyes. Krishna loves his devotees. So then he came and he took Sudama and sat him down on the bed of Rukmini and washed his feet and sprinkled the water on his head and on the heads of his family members. And then he did puja. He offered some food to eat. And then he sat peacefully and he massaged Sudama Brahman's feet. And Rukmini Devi, origin of the goddess of fortune of Vaikuntha, she was fanning him. And Sudama was Supreme Lord is massaging his feet, the goddess of fortune is fanning him. All the residents in the court, they were watching and they were astonished. They thought, what is this? This person looks like a very helpless, destitute beggar. But Krishna is serving him with so much love. And Krishna also, he began to glorify Sudama. He said, oh, see this Brahman. He's so exalted. He never asks anything from anyone. Even if one tries to give him charity by force, he will not accept it. In this way, Krishna wanted to give him something. But it's because Krishna wanted to glorify the detachment of Sudama Brahmin in front of the residents of Dwarka. He said, even if you try to give him something, he will not accept. And so when he gave to Krishna, he gave secretly without anyone seeing. So then, Sudama Brahman was thinking, I know Krishna always serves the Brahmanas like this, but does he remember who I am? Does he remember me? So that doubt was in his heart. So Krishna, he began to say, oh my dear friend, do you remember when we were in Gurukul together? He said, in this life, we have 3 gurus. The first guru is the person who gives you your first birth, the seminal birth, your biological birth. So your father is your first guru. Then second guru, that is called, first birth is called Saukra Janma, birth by semen, Saukra Janma. Then the next birth, Savitra Janma, birth by giving the sacred thread, Upanayan Sanskar, the Brahma Gayatri, by which one is initiated into the study of the Vedas. So the Brahman who gives you the Brahma Gayatri and Upanayan Sanskar, he is your second guru. That is called Savitra Janma. So he is more worthy of the title guru than the first guru, only the father. But even more than that guru is the one who gives Daksha Janma. Daksha Janma means who gives you a new birth by Diksha, initiation. The Paramarthik Guru, the transcendental Guru who imparts to us Dibya Gyan, transcendental knowledge of the Swarup, the form of the beloved Lord with whom we are related, and the knowledge of our specific relationship with that form of the Lord. So, Sri Krishna said that third Guru who gives Diksha Gyan, he is the highest of all. Indeed, he is to be considered a manifestation of my very self. So then Krishna, he said to Sudama Brahmin, Naham nija prajati tapasopasamena va tusyam sarvabhutatma guru susrusrayayata. I am not so pleased by the performance of Archan, by the study of the Vedas, by the performance of austerity and meditation, or even going into trance, going into samadhi, in the stage of Prem. None of these things can please me as much as that person pleases me who hears with faith the instructions of his spiritual master and renders service according to those instructions. Krishna said, do you remember one day our Guru Mata, our Gurudev's wife, she told us to bring wood from the forest. So we set out into the forest to collect wood. But it was winter time and suddenly there was a huge storm. The sky became black. Rain was falling. There was a flood and water was swirling in all directions. We were lost and we couldn't get out. And we were just wandering here and there, holding hands and shivering. But still holding the bundles of wood that we'd collected. And the whole night we were struggling like this. In the morning time, our Gurudev, Sandipani Muni, he was very concerned. And he came out with the disciples looking. And finally he found us. Then Sandipani Muni said, in this world, everyone's own body is very dear to them. And therefore they always strive for comfort of their physical body. But you too, you have neglected your own comfort just for the sake of my service. So I bless you that all your desires will be fulfilled. All your spiritual desires will be fulfilled. I think perhaps this is one of the reasons why Krishna was able to return to Vrindavan. Many years later, he couldn't go back. He said, I bless you that all your spiritual desires will be fulfilled. And that the mantras of the Vedas will remain ever fresh in your mind and will never lose their taste and meaning for you. So Krishna said to Sudama Brahmin, do you remember? We had many wonderful adventures when we lived together in the school of our Gurudev. Etadeva hi satsisyai kartavyam guru niskritam yadvai vishuddhabhavena sarva tatma panam guru. Krishna said, this is the duty, kartavyam, of satsisya, the authentic disciple. Etadeva hi satsisyai kartavyam guru niskritam. Guru niskritam means to repay the debts that one has to the spiritual master. The treasure that the Gurudev gives to us is priceless. How can we repay it? Yet anyway, kartavyam guru niskritam, it is our duty to try. How? Yadvai vishuddhabhav, with a vishuddha bhav, with a pure heart, without duplicity, without any selfishness. Sarva tatma panam guru. One should offer his body, wealth, heart, everything in the service of the spiritual master. Krishna said, do you remember those days? How fortunate we were. Sudama Brahmin said, what is left for me to achieve when by your blessing alone I had the chance to stay with you together in Gurukul? It was you who made the storm come and the rain. We are thinking Krishna's hiding from the rain and he's scared. Sudama Brahmin said, it was you who arranged for me to be in Gurukul with you. It was you who arranged that storm to come and for us to be flooded and trapped like this, because you wanted to show the example to the whole world of the Satsishya, authentic disciple, and the glories of Guru Seva. Otherwise, why will Krishna be afraid of the rain? So then, see, Krishna said to Sudama, what's that you have there? Did you bring something for me? Sudama was so ashamed. When he took it and he set out, he was thinking, I can give this to Krishna. But when he arrived in Dwarka and saw all the Aishwarya there, he changed his mind. He decided, no, I won't give this. So Krishna said, what is that? And he was looking down. He was very ashamed. And then Krishna, he said, Patram pushpam phalam tvayam yo me bhakta prayachati tad aham bhaktuparitam ashnami prayatant manaha. This is verse of Bhagavad Gita, but also comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna said, if someone offers me with love just a fruit or flower or water, I accept it. Ashnami means I eat it. Bhakti Paritam, that which is offered with bhakti, indicates that Sri Krishna is not interested in the quality of the thing being offered. Krishna is not interested in the quality of that which is being offered. He is interested in the bhav with which you are offering it. Therefore Krishna said, Ashnami, I eat this offering. Patram pushpam. Pushpam means flowers. You don't eat flowers. But it means when a devotee offers with love for Krishna, he becomes so in ecstasy bewildered, he even eats the flower. That's why in Ananda-Dham, when we have salad, it's full of flowers. Did you notice? So, and Krishna said, I accept any offering from that person who has devotion. But if someone makes a very grand offering to me, but they don't have ananya bhav, one-pointed devotion to me, then I never accept it. That means that if a person is worshipping any devatas, any demigods, and they make a big offering to Krishna, Krishna won't look at it. Bhaktera dravya Prabhu kari kari kai, abhaktera dravya Prabhu ulati nachai. It is said that if a devotee doesn't even offer to Krishna, but the devotee has love, Krishna will steal from him. This is why we see in Vrindavan. The elderly gopis of Vrindavan, they're making butter. They don't offer to Krishna. Krishna comes and he steals it by force. Why? Because they have devotion. So Bhaktera Dravya Prabhu Kare Kare Kai. But Abhaktera Dravya Prabhu Ulati Nachai. But the non-devotee, even if they make an offering, it can sit there all day and go cold. Krishna will not even look at it. So Krishna, by force, he snatched that little cloth from Sudama Brahmin and he opened it. Oh! And he took a handful and popped it in his mouth. And it was very dry and tasteless. But Krishna was relishing Sudama's love. Then he went to have another bite. But Rukmini Devi caught his hand. And catching his hand, she said, oh, if you'll take more, then there'll not be enough left for all the other queens, my co-wives and their maidservants, and for me. If you'll have more, there won't be enough for even 1 grain each. So she stopped him. She said this to give happiness to Sudama. But with her eyes, she looked at her maidservant and said, oh, this dry food, it will give my lord's tender stomach some pain. I should stop. Then Rukmini said, only buy 1 bite of this. Then you will have to give him such unlimited wealth. And if you take another bite, then you may give, what will you have? You may have to give me to him. So I should stop you. Don't eat anymore. So then, Sudama Brahmin, he stayed the night in Dwarka. And in the morning, he woke up and he was getting ready to leave. And when he was leaving, so Krishna and his whole family, they followed him for some of the way. Because that is the way to, when you receive a guest, you should receive with kirtan, and when they're going, you should follow also some of the way with kirtan as well. So when Sudama was walking home, he was in great bliss. He was thinking to himself, Kwa aham darita papiyan, kwa Krishna sriniketana, Brahma bandhu iti smoham bahu vyam parirambitaha. Who am I? Just a sinful and fallen person. And who is Krishna Sriniketanaha? He is the abode of the goddess of fortune. Yet, even though I am not even a qualified Brahmin, Krishna with his 2 arms very lovingly embraced me. He was thinking, Krishna was very kind, he didn't give me any charity at all. Because he knows I'm so fallen, if he gave me some wealth, then I would forget about him and just think about that wealth. But actually, Krishna, when he accepted that loving offering of Sudama Brahmin, Krishna was thinking, in all of my treasury, I have nothing so valuable to give him in return. This is Krishna's nature, that even a small offering made by his devotee, Krishna sees it to be very, very big, very significant. And his gratitude is increasing moment by moment. It doesn't go down. He doesn't think, oh, what did you do for me lately? If you did some service so many years ago, Krishna's remembering that, and the value of that is increasing. So Krishna, he was ashamed to give anything to Sudama. All the treasures of Indralok and Brahmalok, if he were to give this to Sudama, it would not be sufficient remuneration. So Krishna, he was like a rain cloud. The farmers are making offerings to the rain clouds, and the rain clouds become shy, and then at night when everyone's sleeping, then they sprinkle their mercy on the fields. So in the same way, Krishna had, just as Sudama was shy to give the sweet rice, so see, Krishna was shy to give even fantastic opulence. So in a hidden way, he gave without the residents of Dwarka seeing and without Sudama Brahmin seeing also. So when Sudama, he was going back, he came to the place where his old shack used to be. But it was no longer there. He saw very beautiful gardens and lakes with swans and peacocks, and a very beautiful palace, and so many servants and maidservants in beautiful cloth and ornaments wandering here and there. And as he approached the house, the servants approached him, playing on venas and mridangas and flutes with very beautiful classical ragas. He thought, what's going on? So then his wife, who was inside the house, they told her, oh, your husband has returned. And she got up and she ran out of the house. She was not dressed in torn cloth. She was dressed in beautiful silk and beautiful ornaments. And before she was skinny, and her breast became dry and shriveled, her eyes and her cheeks were inside like this. And now she was so beautiful, like the goddess of fortune. And she approached her husband. And when Sudama saw this very beautiful lady approaching him, he said, who's that? And her maidservant said, that's your wife. Then he looked again, oh. But Krishna kept Sudama Brahmin all skinny and as he was before, just so his wife could recognize him. So then she took him by the hand, and the two of them walked into the palace, an incredibly opulent palace. And as she brought him inside, then his body also transformed and became very handsome, healthy, and effulgent. So then Sudama Brahmin, he was weeping. There are two types of devotees who are niskam, detached, having no desire for worldly opulence. The first type, he is the averse to any opulence. He is antagonistic to any opulence. Like Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat acted like he was deaf and dumb and crazy. And he wandered here and there naked, not interacting with anyone, not accepting anything. He was averse to any type of opulence. But then other devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, he's indifferent. So the Lord does not give any opulence to those who are indifferent, because who are antagonistic. Doesn't give opulence. So Sudama Brahmin was in that category. But then when he arrived back, then his heart changed and he accepted the opulence that Krishna, he realized Krishna must have given this. And then he became like Prahlad Maharaj. He accepted the opulence, but with indifference. So then, Sudama Brahmin, he offered this prayer. And this prayer that we're studying today is really the essence of this pastime. Tasyaiva me sourda sakya maitri dasyam puna janmani janmanisha. Dasyam, the word punar means again. Janmani janmanishat, may there be birth after birth. Dasyam, service. Certainly, service. My service unto him. But that service should be Saurida Sakya Maitri. So generally the word Saurida is translated as friend. And the word Sakya is translated as friend. And the word Maitri is translated as friend. So then the question arises, what does it mean, Saurida Sakya Maitri? May I have service which is imbrued with friendship and friendship. Yeah? This is what we want to discuss. Yeah? Unto whom? Mahanubhavena Gulalayena. Mahanubhavena means that Krishna is excessively generous. Very, very compassionate. And Gunalayena. He is Gunalay. He is an ocean of divine virtues. So, may He bless me with service which is imbued with three kinds of friendship and Visajjatas, ever increasing attachment to Him, Tat Purusha Prasanga, and may that attachment grow in the association of His dear devotees. So all the essence of our spiritual life is expressed here. At the end of everything, Sudama Brahman is praying for Sadhu Sangha. And that in that Sadhu Sangha, that his Abhiman, his service mood with a particular Vishesh Abhiman Lakshan Bhav. How does one attain a divine spiritual form, Swarup, in Krishna's service? Simply by doing bhakti with a Vishesh Abhiman Lakshana, Abhiman Lakshan Vishesh Bhav. That means an intense mood which is characterized by a particular Abhiman. Abhiman means a sense of identity in relation to Krishna, such as servant, friend, parent, beloved. As it is said in the Brahma Samhita, Yam kama krodha sahaja pranayadi biti vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhavai sanchintya tasya sadrishim tanur apurete govindam adi purusham tamaham. Sometimes people wonder, how do I get the Siddhadeha? So directly it is written in Brahma Samhita that when a person engages in devotional service, yam kama krodha, with calm, that means following the amorous mood of Braj Gopis. Krodha, even in anger one will be liberated, but we don't follow that. You can be angry with Chandravali, but not towards Krishna. Yam kama krodha sahaja pranaya. Sahaja pranaya means natural confidence. Sahaja pranayadi biti, by fear. We don't follow fear either. But any type of thinking of Krishna in any type of relation will result, if it's done with avesh, absorption, in the attainment of a transcendental destination. Vatsalya moha guru gaurava sabhya bhavai. Vatsalya, thinking of, he's my child. Gaurava. Gaurava means like Krishna's children and grandchildren in Dwarka. When there's the love of the parent is Vatsalya Bhav, but the love of the child for the parent is Gaurava. That means the love to one's Gurujan or senior personality. So those who are the associates of Pradyumna and Aniruddha in Dwarka, who see Krishna as their parent or uncle or so on, then that's not, Krishna has Vatsalya Bhav for them, but they have Gaurava Bhav to him. So, if one will render devotional service with the Abhiman Lakshana Vishesh Bhav, an intense sentiment characterized by a particular type of sambandha, then what's the result? Sanchintya, those who are absorbed in thinking of this way, tasya sadrishim. Sadrishim means exactly corresponding to the above. Tanum apurete. They receive as it that their spiritual form, their eternal swarup. This is how spiritual body comes. So, here, Sudama Brahman is giving the essence of our spiritual life. We aspire for association of Krishna's dear devotees. And we aspire that by that association, our abhiman will be nourished more and more. Here, the particular abhiman of the Sudama is very fascinating. 3 words, Saurida, Sakya and Maitri. We mentioned each one means friendship, but they indicate different aspects of the friendly relationship. So Saurid indicates sneha, affection. Sneha specifically, that level of love, because Prem develops, Bhav, Rati, Bhav, Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranayarag. So Sneha is a type of love where one is overwhelmed with concern about the person for whom you have the Sneha. So Sneha, this affection, is very prominent in the Vatsalya mood, in the parental mood. Because a parent is always concerned. They want the best. They're such a well-wisher of the child. They want the best for the child. And Sneha also indicates a softness of the heart. And that is of 3 degrees. First of all, if you'll see the object of your love for whom you're so concerned, then the heart melts and tears begin to flow from the eyes. The second degree, you don't even see them, but you just hear about that person from someone else, and your heart melts, and the eyes become filled with tears. And the third degree, you don't see them and you don't hear about them, but just the remembrance of them comes in your mind, and your heart melts, and the eyes brim with tears. So, first Sudama is saying, may I have such an abhiman of friendship to Krishna, which is full of concern for him, and which causes my heart to melt even at the slightest thought. This is abhiman. Can you apply this to your Ishtadev? We want to have such a feeling towards Vrindavan Viharila, towards Radhakanta Gopinath, Radharaman, Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, and more to Vrishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radhika, even more. Tasyaiva me saurida sakya. Sakya also means friendship, but it has a very deep significance. When someone is in Dasya Bhava, servant, their master is enjoying, and they are moving around, serving and supplying the various paraphernalia, ingredients and the arrangements so that their master can enjoy. Nikunja yuno ratikeli siddhaya yalibe yuktira pekshaniya. Making all the arrangements so one's beloved can enjoy. That is Dasya. And that is why Sakya is different. Sakya is characterized by the Bihar Mai Pranay. Pranay means feelings of equality, and it is Vihar Mai. Vihar means enjoying. The pastime, the relationship consists of enjoying. In other words, the servants are arranging the paraphernalia and the situation for the master to enjoy. But friends serve by enjoying together with their friend. The cowherd boys don't have to be kind of serving Krishna all the time. That wouldn't be friendship. They climb the trees together. They jump in the river together. They have wrestling matches together. It is not that they're arranging for all of this. Krishna's eating, they're also eating. They're not necessarily feeding him, they're eating with him. So the enjoyment that we experience when we're enjoying together by enjoying together, that's also giving a kind of happiness to Krishna. Because there's an equality. Understand? So Sakya is characterized by Viharmai Pranay. Or another way of saying that is the Asankoch Bhog. Enjoying without any hesitation. If a master will say, yeah, eat, the servant will say, I'll wait until you're finished. They'll hesitate. But the friend, he doesn't even have to say eat. He'll just start eating. Like this. So, Sudama Brahman is praying, may I serve Dasyam in this way. Sakya. How did such a feeling come about? You see, when he was in Dwarka, Krishna took him to a special place. Once, Samgya, the wife of the sun god, she wanted to make a very special arrangement for Satyabhama. So Sangya, she told the Vishwakarma to make in Dwarka a very beautiful park that is exactly like Vrindavan. That is called Nava Vrindavan. So Vishwakarma received this order from Sangya. So Vishwakarma, he had to make Nava Vrindavan, a replica of Vrindavan in Dwarka. But he didn't know how to do it. So luckily, there were 3.5 people in Dwarka who could advise him. Number one,
Uda.
Balaram. Balaram was in Vrindavan, of course. Number 2, Rohini, Balaram's mother, she was also in Vrindavan. Number 3, Krishna's queen, Kalindi. Because Kalindi is a prakash of Jamuna Devi. So she also knows something. So that's 3. And then half is Uddhav, because he's actually not a Brijbasi. He's Asamaho Charana Renu Jusha Mahamsha. He's praying, I wish I could become grass in Vrindavan. So 3.5 persons who had seen Vrindavan, they gave advice to Vishwakarma, and Vishwakarma manifested the Nava Vrindavan. So, though Sudama Brahmin had been in Gurukul with Krishna, and he knew Krishna was God and had some Aishwarya Bhav for him, when the special mercy of this pastime is that when he came to Dwarka, we think that Krishna must have inspired his wife to nag him to go. Because when he came to Dwarka, Krishna said, let me show you around Dwarka. And he took Sudama Brahmin to Nava Vrindavan. And there they played together. And some bhav came. What is this? Actual friendship, with intimacy, with equality, with the Vihar Mai Pranay, with the Asankoch Bhav. Krishna blessed him with such a feeling. And therefore he is praying here, Tasyaiva me Saurida Sakya Maitri. Of course, in our aspiration, in our Abhiman, Radhikara Dasi Jadi Hoi Abhiman, Shigar Milai Tabago Kulakan. If someone will have the Abhiman, I am the Dasi of Radhika, then very easily they can bring Krishna under their control. So, this Sakya Bhav, we don't pray for this. We give pranams to this. Padabjayostabhavina varadassameva Nanyat kadapi samaye kila deviyache Sakyayate mama namostu nityam Dasyayate mama nasostu sattam. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he's praying, expressing the bhav of his swarup as Rati Manjari. Oh Vrishabhanu Nandini, oh Kinkari Vatsala, you are overflowing with affection for your maidservants. I never ask anything from you. I only want to be among the best of your maidservants. If she will arrange for Krishna to to meet with her, then she becomes very shy. Because Radhika arranges for her Sakhis, those who are equal with her, to meet with Krishna. If she'll try to arrange for Krishna to meet with her Dasis, then Rati Manjari will become very shy and say, "Oh Radhika, Sakyayate mama namostu namostu nityam." I bow down again and again to your Sakhis who enjoy along with you. Vihar mai pranay. Asankoch bhog. I bow down to them again and again eternally. But I don't want that. Dasyayate mama rasostu rasostu. I want only to taste repeatedly. Rasostu, rasostu. May there be the rasa, may there be the rasa of your menial servitude. I only want to be your maidservant. So this is the abhiman of Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, all the maidservants of Radhika. And all the acharyas in the line of Rupa Goswami cultivate this abhiman. So he mentions here dasyam because even those who have sakya, when they're in separation, they become overwhelmed with humility, and the dasya bhav comes. Krishna prema eka ad purva prabhav guru samalago ke korae dasya bhav. Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said, love for Krishna has this one unprecedented influence, and that is whether one is junior to Krishna, equal to Krishna, or even Gurujan, senior to Krishna, that one is imbued with dasya bhav, especially at the time of separation. Why? Because at the time of separation one feels so destitute, so worthless, that even though one is the ashray of a particular rasa, one becomes indifferent to oneself as the ashray of that rasa. I'm not qualified to be Krishna's friend, Krishna's equal, Krishna's parent. Even Nanda Maharaj, in separation from Krishna, told to Uddhav, Manaso vrityaya sur Krishna padam buddhastrayaha vachi bidaine nam nam kayastad pravanadishu. When Uddhav was about to leave and go back to Krishna in Mathura, Nanda Maharaj said, may the vrittis of my mind always be engaged in remembering Krishna's lotus feet. May my words always glorify his names, and may my body be engaged in bowing down to him. It's very pathetic. Because Nanda Maharaj, he's a father, he can rebuke Krishna, he can chastise him, he gives him nourishment and protection. So does it mean now he's in Dasyaras? No. He's in Vatsalya Rasa. But due to the intensity, the dainya bhav, the humility that comes at the time of separation, he became indifferent to his own position. And so he spoke, oh, may I always be the servant of Krishna. Balaram also, he said to Krishna, oh my Lord. He addressed Krishna like a servant. When Krishna told him it was he himself who had expanded into all the cowherd boys and the calves. Because Balaram was thought, oh, you did this for a whole year, and you did not consider me intimate enough, close enough to tell me what you were doing. Because Krishna tells Balaram everything. Well, not everything. All the appropriate things. But why not this? It was a pastime of Sakyaras. So Balaram felt humility and became indifferent to himself as the ashray of the Sakyaras. So, similarly, the Manjaris, the maidservants of Radhika, they're actually Sakhis. They are friends. But out of intense love for Radhika, they consider that she is supremely worthy of meeting with Krishna and serving Krishna, not us. And so though they're Sakhis, actually, in Madhurya Ras to Krishna, but their Dasya Bhav becomes prominent. So they're very humble. Mahaprabhu said, Tunadapi Sunichena. Really, this is the mood of the Manjuris. So, Sakya Maitri. Maitri means friendship. But what kind of friendship? This type of friendship is Bandhu Bhav. Bandhu Bhav means the mood that we belong together, like a family members. Just like Sudama, he went to school with someone. You know? Do you have any friends that you grew up with and went to school with? Automatically, if you live with someone, they're your brother or sister, or even it's not your family, but you grew up with them in the same town, and you went to the same school together, and you grew up and went through many stages of your life, then you have Bandhu Bhav. So, Sudama is praying through Sadhu Sangha to have the intensification of his abhiman towards Krishna. This is the lesson that is valuable for us in this pastime. That by Sadhu Sangha, by hearing Harikatha, our abhiman, that we'll have such sneha, affection for Radha Krishna. Like the maidservants of Radhika, they're always full of concern for her. How can she be happy? How can she be comfortable? How can we arrange for her meeting with Krishna? Such that only thinking of Radhika, their hearts melt and tears come from their eyes. Sorid Bhav. Sakya, they are Sakhis. But due to their humility and great honor for Radhika, they have preferred to take the position of dasis of Radhika. And Bandhu Bhav. Vrishabhanu Pure Jannamalaivo Javate Vivaha Abe Braja Gopi Bhav Oive Swabhav Anubhava Naroi. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, aspiring for that intense Bandhu Bhav, that intense belonging. How will that belonging come about? If you have the abhiman that you were born in Vrishabhanupur in Varsana. Born there in the village where Radhika's father is the king. And also not in a royal family, family of a somewhat lesser aristocracy. And therefore, by your very birth, you must be the maidservant of the king's daughter. Bandhu Bhav. And when Radhika is married and moves to Yavat, perhaps you may be married and move to Yavat, or perhaps even Vrishabhanu Maharaj may give you, along with Radhika, to Abhimanyu as maidservants. So that is the Mukhya Parakya and Gona Parakya. Just like Mukhya Swakya and Gona Swakya. If you want to serve Krishna in Dwarka, in Madhurya Rasa, you cannot become a queen, but you can become a maidservant of a queen. So it's also Swakya, but it's a Gona Swakya, being a maidservant of Rukmini or Satyabhama. So similarly, being the maidservant of Radhika, you may also get a Gona Parakya, being offered along with her, which is very nice, because then you can live with in Radhika in Yavat. The whole time. You don't have to go to your home or anything, because it's your home. So different Vaishnavas, they have different bhavs. And always to be concerned for Radhika, having friendship which has been eclipsed by the mood of a maidservant, and Bandhu Bhav, having grown up with her, having been raised by, nourished by her Vatsalya. She has Vatsalya towards the maidservants because they're somewhat younger. And they've given their life to Radhika. So this Abhiman, another meaning of Abhiman is pride. So pride is bad in this world. If you have Abhiman, pride in your material body and worldly capabilities, this is bad. But to have pride that Radhika is my Swamini, my mistress, this is most wonderful. Srila Rupa Goswami, he discusses how he wants to feel the pride in Radhika. How? During Rasalila, it is said that Krishna, secretly, without anyone seeing, took Radhika away and he disappeared. And all the gopis were searching here and there. Where is Krishna? Where did he go? But Rupa Goswami revealed that in his bhavana, he saw them leaving and secretly followed them. And Rupa Manjari was wandering in the forest, and she watched how Krishna had abandoned every single gopi and was decorating the hair of Radhika with jasmine flowers. He became Keshava. Tasam tatsobhagamadan vikshamanam cha Keshava prasamana prasadaya tatraiva antadiyate. So when will that bandhu bhav come? When will that abhiman, that pride, seeing, oh, Krishna abandoned everyone, they're all crying and wandering here and there, but my Radhika is here with Krishna and he's decorating her hair. See, Rupa Goswami is praying. When will I feel pride? When I see Krishna's face. Krishna was on his way to meet with Radhika, but somehow or other he got diverted by Padma, a Sakhi of Chandravali. So he met with Chandravali very briefly, because he didn't want to be in too much trouble. And then he excused himself from that situation. And he was walking through his forest on the way to see Radharani. He was thinking, no one knows. As he was walking through the forest, one parrot of Radharani began to flutter in the sky above his head and said, "Oh Nandanandan, son of Nanda Maharaj, you are so beautiful. You have all qualities except for one, intelligence." Don't you know? Radhika loves you with one pointed heart. But what about you, Krishna? Then Krishna's face, he began to feel fear and embarrassment hearing the words of the parrot, because he knows in a race between him and the parrot to get to Radharani's kunj, the parrot will get there first. So now he's not so confident. Before he was no one knew anything, and he was going through the forest happily about to meet with Radhika, but then that parrot came and just poop, burst his confidence bubble. Krishna was deflated and had a very pathetic look on his face. But Rupa Manjari was watching and seeing the fear on Krishna's face. This is pride, Abhiman in Radhika. The feeling of pride in Radhika. How Krishna, he becomes fearful just thinking that Radhika may hear some news about him that may displease her in any way. When will I see Krishna's face? Or sometimes, to nourish our Abhiman, we may want to see Chandravali's face. One day, Sri Krishna had met with Srimati Radhika. And the maidservants of Radhika, they're so fortunate. They get to serve her very intimately. Paricharya Seva. That when Krishna sees the maidservants of Radhika serving her, he wants to serve like them. He becomes inspired by seeing them. So usually they paint the Yavakarasa, the altar, the red dye around the feet of Radhika. So Krishna was, after beautiful pastimes with Radhika, he was painting her feet. He was feeling such joy. So I want to say, why would Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lower himself to do the activity of a lower aristocracy, a lower level of person like the maidservants, foot painting, pedicure? Why would Krishna want to do that? Why? Because Radharani is his Ladini Shakti. And when Krishna becomes the servant of Radhika, That means the Supreme Lord is taking complete shelter of His own pleasure potency, and therefore He feels an unparalleled and incomparable happiness in that seva. So Krishna, he was painting the feet of Radhika, but he was feeling such ecstasy that his hand was trembling, and he was taking a long time. So Radharani lifted her foot and put it on Krishna's head and pushed him away. Oh, you're not very good at this. And pushed him away. Oh, Rupa Manjari, you should do it. So then Rupa Manjari took over the service. So then afterwards, Krishna was returning and he was going through the forest. And there on the road, he saw some gopis, Padma, Shaibya, and leading them all, Chandravali. So Krishna, he tried to hide his whereabouts from before, where he had been before. So he came and he approached them smiling to speak some sweet words. But then Chandravali looked and saw the impression in red lac of Radhika's heel on the head of Krishna. Seeing the footprint, Anayaradito Nundam Bhagavan Harishwara. Seeing this, Chandravali looked at her Sakhis. Rupa Goswami is saying, when in the distance will I look and see the face of Chandravali at that moment? Then my Abhiman. This is Raganuga Bhajan. Abhiman Lakshan Vishesh Bhav. To be absorbed in hearing and chanting. Sobista Bhav Mai Sadhan. Saturated with a particular sentiment which is characterized by Abhiman. Particular relationship. Oh, one nice point we can add here. Sometimes persons hear the pastime of Sudama Brahmin and they think, what a great lila. All you have to do is go to Krishna and pretend that you don't want anything. And he'll give you just like a massive load of cash or goods. How merciful is Krishna. But we should understand Raso Vaisaha Sa Evayam Labdolandi Bhavati. Krishna is the ocean of rasa. So why did Krishna give this wealth to Sudama? The reason is this. And he's prayed here for Sakhya. Sakhya, friendship and the feeling of equality. So, if Sudama Brahmin will be living in a broken shack with holes in the roof and cracked walls, then in what way will he feel that Sakhya to Krishna? So see, Krishna gave him opulence similar to himself. That would be a rasa upakar to nourish the friendship between Sudama and Krishna. So it wasn't that Krishna gave him a huge amount of wealth. That wasn't his intention. It was to give the rasa upakar to nourish the abhiman of friendship that he's praying for in this verse. So, this is the essential teaching of this pastime. Service with abhiman. When Radha and Krishna have been dancing and they're about to retire and enter into a kunj, then just before they enter the kunj, a maidservant will come forward and untying her hair, take the lotus feet of Radha Krishna and brush the dust from their feet before they enter the kunj. Such profound bhavs. Dasya, Radha Dasya. This is the Anarpita Charin Chirat Karunaya Bhartina Kalo. samarpaitum unnata ujjvala rasam svabhakti sriyam. This is the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unprecedented gift. So, in the last line he's saying, Visajya sustad purusha prasanga. Oh, may I always have the association of the Rasik Vaishnavas, that by hearing their katha and serving them, then their bhav, their abhiman, will be sankramit, reflected into my heart. This is the power of sadhu sangha. If we can be in the association of a person who is absorbed in Radha Dasya, with all of these deep transcendental emotional components, then simply by hearing from them, simply by serving them and honoring them with a pure heart, then that bhav will be reflected to us. And gradually, sanchintya tasya sadrishim tano atu ete, we attain our swarup. Bole Vrindavana Vyara Lal ki jai, Sanewali ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jai Jai Sri